In this video, we will look at the Pythagorean theorem and see how we can use it to relate the side lengths of a right triangle. So, if a right triangle has side lengths of a units and b units, with the hypotenuse that is c units long, then a squared plus b squared will always be equal to c squared. So if we have side lengths of a, b, hypotenuse length of c units, then a squared plus b squared will be equal to c squared. It's a very famous equation, and surely you've seen it before. Let's see how we can actually use this in context. So we have a right triangle here. We know the lengths of the shorter sides, but we don't know the length of the hypotenuse. We want to know how long the hypotenuse is. So we'll call this hypotenuse C, and if it makes it easier for us, we can call this A and this B. So what we know is 6 squared plus 8 squared will be equal to c squared. And therefore, c will be equal to the square root of 6 squared plus 8 squared. Now, when we take the square root here, we usually do plus or minus. But since we know the length of the hypotenuse is positive, we just do a positive square root. And 6 squared is equal to 36. 8 squared is equal to 64. And therefore, we're looking at the square root of 100, which is equal to 10. And therefore, the hypotenuse of this right triangle is 10 units long. Let's look at one more example. So we have another right triangle, but we have a missing side length, and we want to know what the side length is. We'll call this B here. So this vertical side length is B centimeters long. We have a horizontal side length of 3 centimeters and a hypotenuse that is 5 centimeters long. So in this case, we can say that 3 squared plus b squared is equal to 5 squared. Now 3 squared is equal to 9. So we have 9 plus b squared. And then 5 squared is equal to 25. Therefore, b squared will be equal to 16, in which case b is equal to plus or minus 4. But in this case, we know we need to have a positive value because we're looking at the length of a right triangle. So we'll just say b is equal to 4. And therefore, this vertical side length is 4 centimeters. We can use the Pythagorean theorem in a lot of contexts. Basically, whenever we have a right triangle and we want to relate the side lengths of the right triangle, we can always use the Pythagorean theorem. It becomes a very powerful tool.